Hey there YouTube movie fans, welcome once again. This is 101 Bronson coming back at you with my Robert De Niro DVD collection today. Yeah, we have quite a few movies to cover. You can see a little bit right here, the pile goes up to here, so we do have a few movies to cover. Robert De Niro is definitely one of my favorite actors of all time. In recent years he has done a few misses, of course, with all the comedies that he does recently, right? But last year he definitely made a comeback with his small part in The Joker and The Irishman, so there's hope. No, anyway, yeah, I do have quite a few Robert De Niro movies. This is just a fraction of all the movies that he did, because Robert De Niro is a really busy man. He does multiple movies a year, and I don't own nearly as much of them as I would like. I mean, some of them I do not wish to own actually, but anyway, let's just go over them right away. Starting off with 15 Minutes, Robert De Niro and Edward Burns. Actually, one that I don't own for that long. Actually picked this up a few months ago, I believe, and I've only seen it once, but this was definitely one of the more disappointing Robert De Niro movies for me. I didn't think this was particularly good, actually. Especially because De Niro is not really in it that much, so that's part of it, but I'm not gonna spoil it, but something happens to his character, which, let's just say, because of the event that happens, his character is not in the full movie, so... Anyway, next up is a very good movie though, 1900 by Bernardo Bertolucci. This is a really long movie. If you thought The Irishman was long, this one is longer. I think this is like between 4 and 5 hours. Easily. This is easily like around 5 hours. It's actually on 2 discs because it's so long. But pretty good movie though, to sink your teeth in if you have like a full afternoon of just doing nothing. If you just like between 12 and 6 in the afternoon, I mean, pop it in. You could have a good time with it. Or watch it in parts. It also works if you watch it in 2 parts. But anyway, it's one of my favorite movies. I like that one. I like Italian movies anyway. So next up is Awakenings, co-starring the late great Robin Williams, who is really missed. But yeah, Awakenings, one of my favorites again. Also, Penelope Ann Miller is in this movie. Max von Sydow has a small part, who recently passed away as well. So, directed by Penny Marshall, this is definitely a must-own Robert De Niro movie. I think this is a great drama movie. I love it. Next up is Backdraft, which he only has a small part in that movie as well. It's mostly about it's one of the Baldwin brothers, actually. What's his name? Stephen Baldwin, right? Is that it? Kurt Russell is also in it. It's a pretty well cast movie. There's a bunch of good actors in there, but the movie itself I thought was okay, nothing too special, but yeah. Moving on, we have A Bronx Tale, which he actually directed. His directorial debut is this one. Small part by Joe Pesci in it. Chas Palminteri, I hope I pronounced it right, this guy. He's the co-lead actually. Pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it. Next up is one of his comedies, Analyze This, co-starring Billy Crystal. One of the best comedies he did in my opinion. And I do have the sequel, Analyze That. This one wasn't that good, but Analyze This is a great comedy. Let's move on. Another bit part for him. I mean, he wasn't in the movie nearly as much as I thought, but it's Angel Heart. With actually the lead is Mickey Rourke in this movie. De Niro has a supporting part. as Louis Cypher, and I thought it was actually a pretty decent movie. Yeah, I say check it out because it's actually pretty good. Next up is Cape Fear, co-starring Nick Nolte and Jessica Lange, directed by Martin Scorsese. This is a fantastic movie, one of the best Scorsese De Niro collaborations in my opinion. Speaking of which, next up is Casino, another Scorsese movie with Sharon Stone and Joe Pesci co-starring in it, along with a bunch of other people. I mean, Kevin Pollak is in it, James Woods, Don Rickles. Great movie, classic. I love it. Next up is a pretty unknown movie he did, City by the Sea. Frances McDormand co-starring, and James Franco plays his son in this movie. And I thought this was actually a little bit underrated. This is a pretty forgotten Robert De Niro movie, but definitely one that true fans of his should check out. I thought it was not the best, but it had some good moments. Yeah. Next up, I have this movie also in my Sylvester Stallone collection, but it's Copland, co-starring Harvey Keitel, Ray Liotta, and Sly Stallone, of course. And De Niro has a supporting part, but De Niro's pretty good in this movie too. Definitely recommendation, especially if you're a Sylvester Stallone fan. It's one of his best movies. Next up is The Deer Hunter, 1977, by Michael Cimino, co-starring Meryl Streep, the late great John Cazale, who was in The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 and Dog Day Afternoon as well. His last performance was in this movie. He passed away from cancer after this movie. Christopher Walken is in this movie. I mean, that's great. We have Christopher Walken in this movie, but he doesn't talk the way he usually talks. He's actually pretty normal in this movie. Yeah, I'm sorry for the Christopher Walken impression, but Walken is amazing in this movie. He won the Oscar for this movie. And it is actually in that period where Christopher Walken wasn't being Christopher Walken. He was kind of hard to explain, but if you see the movie, you'll know what I mean. He's like, yeah, he's really restrained. He's not being like his usual quirky self. So yeah. Next up is a pretty underrated movie in my opinion, Everybody's Fine, which I thought was a fantastic movie. Pretty emotional movie. I liked it. Definitely a recommendation. Next up is Falling in Love, co-starring Meryl Streep again. And Harvey Keitel is also in this movie. Yeah, Harvey Keitel is in this movie. Pretty good romantic movie actually. As I mentioned in the Jack Nicholson DVD collection, I'm usually not big on romantic movies, but sometimes I appreciate them, and this is one of the movies that I do appreciate. Pretty good movie actually. Next up is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, in which Robert De Niro plays the Frankenstein monster. Imagine that. Robert De Niro as the monster of Frankenstein, yeah. Not one of the best movies, but I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. It's like an average movie. Didn't have any huge problems with it, but wasn't blown away with it either. So yeah. Next up is Goodfellas, classic movie. I mean, what can I say about Goodfellas that hasn't been said? I mean, Joe Pesci won the Oscar for this. Amazing. Ray Liotta is amazing. Brilliant direction by Scorsese. Great movie. If you haven't watched this movie yet, what's wrong with you? Because this is an amazing movie. Next up is Great Expectations, where he actually really has a small part in it. He's in the movie for like 5 minutes. Um, he's right there. You can see him. Yeah, I've only seen it once, and it's been, I guess, about 5 years ago since I seen it. So I really don't remember much about it, other than the fact that he isn't in it, that he isn't in the movie for a long time. So I couldn't tell you much about it. So I say check it out for yourself, because I don't remember it. Definitely a movie that I should rewatch, but yeah. Here's the DVD of Heat. The Blu-ray is in my Al Pacino collection, but yeah, this is a movie co-starring Al Pacino and Val Kilmer and Tom Sizemore, Ashley Judd, Amy Brenneman, Diane Verona, Ted Levine. Great all-star cast. Michael Mann directed this movie. One of the best movies ever made, definitely. I love Heat. That scene between them, Pacino and De Niro, where they first meet up in the restaurant, you know, I'm gonna chase you down. Brother, you are going down. There's a flip side to that coin. I mean, I can't do it nearly as well as Pacino and De Niro do, but trust me, it's an amazing scene. And it's an amazing movie. Next up is The Intern with Anne Hathaway. Nothing on the back, but yeah, The Intern, which actually from 2015, as this movie is, right? Yeah, 2015. Actually was really surprised with this movie. I thought this was going to be just another generic De Niro comedy as he has done in the past decade. But actually, pretty good movie. Nancy Meyers directed this, who also did Something's Gotta Give. Great movie, check it out. I was really surprised by De Niro's performance. And one of his most recent ones, Joker. Joaquin Phoenix is the lead, of course. De Niro is more supporting character, of course. But I did like this movie, Joker. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, deservedly of the praise that it has gotten. It may be a tad overrated, but nevertheless a pretty damn good film. So yeah, there you go, Joker, which was hugely inspired by this next movie, King of Comedy, which is actually a special edition Blu-ray media book. No, steel. Yeah, it's a steel book more. From Germany, like I said. Actually, let's take a look. Let's carefully remove this. Yeah, that's like a media book. King of Comedy right there. Here's the back. Rupert Pupkin, one of my favorite De Niro characters, actually. Oh yeah, it's one of these. It has like a little booklet in the DVD in the Blu-ray. Yeah. There you go. King of Comedy. And Todd Phillips, the director of Joker, has pretty much admitted that this was a huge influence on Joker, as was Taxi Driver. But anyway, moving on. King of Comedy, by the way, I love it, but let's move on. Next up is Limitless, with Bradley Cooper as the lead, and De Niro is actually a supporting role more than anything else. Okay. It's an okay movie, right? It's nothing special, it didn't blow me away or anything, but if you have nothing else to do on a Saturday night or something, you know, pop it in, you will not be disappointed. Next up is the Meet the Parents / Meet the Fockers trilogy. The first one, Meet the Parents, which I love these movies. Even Little Fockers, that one has a lot of problems, but I do like that one, which I do have, of course. First was the sequel, Meet the Fockers. This is actually my favorite out of the trilogy, the second one, because this adds Dustin Hoffman and Barbra Streisand into the mix. Meet the Fockers, yeah. Probably my second favorite comedy that he did, next to Analyze This. And then Little Fockers, like I said, I don't have any huge problems with it. I still enjoyed it, but it is the weakest out of the Focker movies. So yeah, there you go. Speaking of great comedies, Midnight Run. This is a great movie from the director of Beverly Hills Cop, Martin Brest, who also did The Scent of a Woman with Al Pacino. But yeah, Midnight Run, great movie. I love it. Yaphet Kotto is in it as well. John Ashton from Beverly Hills Cop. Charles Grodin is the co-lead. Great movie. Definitely check it out if you're a De Niro fan. Next up is The Mission, co-starring Jeremy Irons. And I've actually only seen this movie once as well, and also quite a long time ago, so I don't remember too much about it. I do remember the music is by Ennio Morricone for this one, and let me just quickly check that. Yeah, music by Ennio Morricone, so that's always great. So yeah, I'd say check it out for yourself because I don't remember too much about it. From what I can remember, it wasn't a bad film, but I wasn't too crazy about it either, so yeah, there you go. Next up, New York, New York, co-starring Liza Minnelli, directed by Martin Scorsese. Nothing on the back. My least favorite Scorsese De Niro movie. Of all the collaborations, this is definitely the weakest. I did not care for this movie at all. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that movie, but not my cup of tea at all. So yeah. Next up is probably my favorite Robert De Niro movie, Once Upon a Time in America, directed by Sergio Leone, the great Sergio Leone, with a great cast: James Woods, Joe Pesci, Burt Young from the Rocky movies is in this, Tuesday Wild, Jennifer Connelly, one of her first parts, first movie parts in this movie. Elizabeth McGovern, I think she's fantastic in this movie. Brilliant, brilliant music by Ennio Morricone. Next to the Dallas trilogy and Once Upon a Time in the West, my favorite Ennio Morricone score. Actually, that might be my favorite, but don't hold that against me. I might change my opinion in a different video, but no, the Deborah's theme from Once Upon a Time in America, just give that a listen. That's one of the best tracks ever made in my opinion. Next up is, if Once Upon a Time in America is my favorite, this is a close second, Raging Bull. This is the DVD that I have, and about 2 or 3 weeks ago I actually picked up the Blu-ray in Germany of Raging Bull for $5, so yeah. Now own Raging Bull on Blu-ray. And I've already done a review of this movie actually, and I believe in that review I called this my favorite De Niro movie, so... But let's retract that, because I think Once Upon a Time in America really is the best movie he did. Raging Bull is a really, really, really close second though, but yeah. Next up is Ronin. Again, nothing too much on the back, but yeah, Ronin, 1997 movie, 1998, with a pretty well-known cast: Jean Reno, Sean Bean, Jonathan Pryce, Michael Lonsdale. Actually, all 3 of those actors are Bond villains, which was kind of interesting. The movie itself, this is probably one of my least favorite Robert De Niro movies actually. I did not care for this movie that much. It might just be a case of me just having to watch this movie a second time to get a good opinion on it, but I really was not blown away or anything by this movie. Nothing spectacular actually, so yeah. Like this movie much better actually, the score. Co-starring Edward Norton, and the final movie performance by Marlon Brando. Which does mean that Marlon Brando is pretty weighty, right? But no, in all seriousness, I love Marlon Brando. I love seeing him in this movie, sharing the screen with Robert De Niro, which kind of interestingly, of course, is Vito Corleone sharing the screen, right? Because De Niro played Corleone in Godfather 2 and Brando, of course, in the first one, so it's kind of like the two Corleones sharing the screen. But movie itself, yeah, it's not gonna blow you away or anything, but I did like it. I thought it was a pretty decent movie. Not too bad at all. Next up is Showtime, with Eddie Murphy co-starring. Underrated movie. I love this. This is one of my favorite buddy cop movies. De Niro and Eddie Murphy, they play off each other wonderfully, in my opinion. There's actually a small cameo by William Shatner in the movie. Rene Russo is in it. I always like seeing her. Definitely an underrated movie. Check it out. I think this is a great movie. Next up is Sleepers. Barry Levinson directed this one. Actually, the first movie Robert De Niro did with Dustin Hoffman, he's also in this. Brad Pitt is in it, Kevin Bacon. Actually, a pretty good movie. Some heavy subject matters in this, like child molesting is one of the themes in this movie, so pretty heavy subject matter in this film, but I thought it was a pretty decent film, really great, not bad, good movie. Oh yeah, Stardust. Yeah, I actually got this one from my brother's girlfriend. She gave me this movie. Yeah. Only own it because I'm a huge De Niro fan, but I mean, he's only in the movie for 5 minutes or something anyway, so Michelle Pfeiffer is great though, but other than that, not a huge fan of this movie. It's more of a fantasy movie, right? It's actually been a really long time since I watched this, but I have seen this a few times, so I actually can comment on this. Yeah, not the best De Niro has done, but I've seen worse. I'll watch this over New York, New York any day. Next up is Taxi Driver. Classic, once again. What can I say about this movie? Directed by Martin Scorsese. Jodie Foster, one of her first roles in this movie. Harvey Keitel is in the movie. Peter Boyle. Music by Bernard Herrmann. The theme of Taxi Driver is really iconic. Great movie. Taxi Driver. I mean, just the scene, you know, the famous scene of "You Talking to Me." Need I say more? I don't think so. And then we actually up to the final one. We're No Angels, co-starring Sean Penn and Demi Moore. Probably, if it wasn't for New York, New York, this would be my least favorite Robert De Niro movie. I mean, it's up there, but New York, New York, I dislike just a little bit more than this. But this, not a good movie at all. This is a comedy, and all the jokes fell flat for me. I didn't laugh once during this movie. And you know, it's a comedy, and if the audience doesn't laugh, and in this case me, it doesn't work. So yeah, it's a shame because it's written by David Mamet, who's a pretty great screenwriter and playwright too. I mean, it has a pretty decent cast of De Niro, Sean Penn, Demi Moore, Bruno Kirby, James Russo. Yeah, the movie even falls down on me, so yeah, but yeah, not a good movie. I say check it out for yourself, but I only own it because I'm really a huge fan of De Niro. Otherwise, yeah. And then of course there's other movies like The Godfather Part 2 that he is in, which I have in my Al Pacino collection, and Righteous Kill, that's also with Pacino, in my Pacino collection. Yeah, the Blu-ray of Copland is in my Stallone collection. Machete, he's in that movie. I have that also separately. So yeah, these are not all the movies I have that De Niro makes an appearance in. There are more, like Machete that I have, but I just keep that separately. And The Godfather Part 2, like I said. And of course, I don't own The Irishman because, you know, it's a Netflix movie, so will we get a physical release of Irishman? I hope so, but I wouldn't keep your hopes up for long, but it is Netflix, right? But I have seen The Irishman, so multiple times already, so yeah. Anyway, that's it for now. Those are all the De Niro movies that I have as of this moment. I'm sure the collection is yet to grow because Mean Streets, I don't have Mean Streets, I want Mean Streets. Yeah, that's definitely the movie that's on the top of my list of De Niro movies to get, is Mean Streets. And I mean, there are others like This Boy's Life with DiCaprio in one of his first movie parts. Yeah, the thing with De Niro is he does 10 movies a year, so yeah. There's still a lot to get, but top of my list for now, Mean Streets. I want to get Mean Streets. I have seen that movie, of course, and I think it's fantastic, but I don't own it yet, and that's bothering me right now. Gonna have to track that movie down. But yeah, that's it for the De Niro movies for now, so thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for the next one, where I'm gonna cover my favorite actor of all time, Al Pacino. I'm looking at the Pacino movies right now, and I think that's gonna be a 2-part video, because I have pretty much all of his movies actually. Yes, there are still a few that I'm missing, but yeah, stay tuned for that. Anyway, thank you all for watching once again, so long for now.